Hey everybody, welcome to part 2 of our Kill Team Blood and Zeal reviews. This is going to be based on the Sanctifiers, the new kill team that's in the Blood and Zeal box set, along with the Goremongers, and these represent members of the Imperial cult, the Ecclesiarchy, the Adeptus Ministorum, and are a aggressive, like, weird, Bernie, kill team that has some of the nicest models. Now, if you haven't checked this out before, there's a previous video to this one where I go through the contents of the box, check out the miniatures, talk a bit about the background for these guys. This review is just going to purely be based upon the rules. So this is the rules. This is what everyone else is waiting for. Now, the rules are a full color section, of course, in here. That we can go through in the rule book. But I'm going to also have access to these great cards. So I'm going to go through the start of this with the visuals, because this will just help show what everything is. And then as I get deeper in, I'll probably be using the cards for the ploys and stuff like that. So what do we got here? Okay. It's a little bit like, who else had side dudes? Kind of like the Crude almost, where you have your leader. He's got or even the Imperial agent, the Inquisitorial agents one, where you have the Servo Scout. In this one, you got a Cherub. So you get your Confessor Operative. He's your leader. A couple of head and hand options for this guy. And his Cherub, which is his little helper buddy that is Incentivizer, which is literally a cattle prod to follow him around. And then you have a ton of specialists. You have a Conflagrator, a Death Cult Assassin, a Drill Abbot, a Miraculist, a Missionary. And then the Missionary does have a loadout with a Flamer and a Brazier of Holy Fire and a Plasma Gun on the other Missionary. These things are, you cannot select an option that includes a Brazier of Holy Fire more than once per battle. So you can only have one of these guys carrying that. And your two different Missionaries are your two different kind of like heavy weapon, special weapon guys. A Persecutor, a Preacher, a Reliquant, and a Salvationist. And other than Preacher options, your kill team can only include each Operative once. Your Preachers are like your basic dudes, and they have a couple of different loadouts. But yeah, other than that, you can only have, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 specialists and a basic guy. And you can build all of these out of the main box set. Your archetypes are Security and Seek and Destroy. All right, faction rules. So first of all, you have a Ministorum Sermon. This is basically when you start chanting. Every strategy phase, as a strategic gambit, you can pick a model in your team. If the Confessor's alive, you have to pick him. And then units that start their activation within 6 of him or 3 if he's dead and you had to pick somebody else, are going to be able to shrug off additional damage. Whenever they take any kind of damage, normal or critical, it's 3 or more, it's reduced by 1. So he has this protective aura of faith, basically, where he's just chanting all around them. And then anything with the Blaze special rule is a new weapon special rule for all the flamethrowers. It's funny that this didn't end up in the core rulebook, but Blaze is now back in the game. You get a Blaze token if you get any crits that are successful. Whenever a model is activated with a Blaze token, they take D3 damage, and then they have to make a choice. Either roll a D6 and on a 3+ remove the Blaze token, or sacrifice an APL and remove it automatically. So you need to be a bit slower, pat the flames out on you, and not take the damage. But if you're like a Space Marine with a ton of wounds, you just don't care about being on fire, you can just chance the roll and just walk around being like, whatever, I'm on fire, I don't care, I'm a Space Marine. And then we got Strategic Ploys. 4 is normal. The Emperor protects. Whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Sanctifiers operative that's benefiting from a sermon, you can reroll any of your defense dice results of 1 result. So it's a nice one because it makes you ceaseless. I think it's the one where you reroll 1 type of result. But it's for your defense dice. So you have like a ceaseless defense. It enhances the aura of your Preacher. Fervent Brawl. Whenever a friendly Sanctifiers operative that's benefiting from a sermon is fighting or retaliating, its weapons get ceaseless. So the same thing, except not for saves. Zealous Persecution. Whenever a friendly Sanctifier operative is fighting during its activation, when it performs a charge, it gets lethal 5+. And then Rally the Flock. Each friendly Sanctifier sermon, excluding the order, so the guy chanting, that benefits from the sermon can immediately perform a free dash or fallback action, but you can't move more than 3 when you fall back. Each that does so must end their move closer to the friendly orator than operative, and you cannot use this ploy during the first turning point. So you can pull everybody back to you, and that can be really useful during your strategy phase to get them to benefit from the sermon, right? So if guys were extended outside the sermon, you want to get them back defensively so that they can shrug damage, and they can also potentially have the Emperor protects and reroll defense dice. You can have a draw them back kind of ability. All right, then your Firefight ploys, a Rosarius. Imagine how many of these get handed out then. Like chaplains get 1 in a Space Marine chapter, but apparently these guys just have Rosariuses everywhere. Uses Firefight ploy. When an attack inflicts normal damage on a friendly Sanctifiers operative, just ignore the damage. So cool for a CP, just ignore normal damage. Ardent Eradication uses Firefight ploy after rolling your attack dice for a friendly Sanctifier's operative. If it's shooting against or fighting against an operative that's within 3 of a friendly orator, or 6 if it's the Confessor, reroll any of your attack dice. Basically, protect the leader. Redeemed through Fire uses Firefight ploy on a friendly Sanctifier's operative that has a weapon with a blaze attribute. Rule is incapacitated. He blows up. Each enemy visible and within 2 of them gains a blaze token. He just explodes. And then Unwavering Devotion uses Firefight ploy when a friendly Sanctifier's order or Miraculous operative is selected as the valid target of a shoot action or a fight during the fight action. Select one friendly Sanctifier that's visible and within 3 of that friendly operative to become the target instead. If it's a fight action, treat them as being in base to base. This ploy has no effect against shoot weapons that have, or shoot attacks that have the blast rule. And then we're into our cards. So we have the Confessor himself. And again, we have these handy cards to look at, which are all double-sided for him and the Cherub. He's got his Massive Sensor, so no gun. There's not a lot of guns. There's a lot of flamethrowers. This box set, it's pretty balanced because there's so little shooting on either side. They just get into tons of fights. Yeah, he hits like a ton of bricks. He's got 2 APL. He's a 2 APL leader, which is a bit different. He's move 6, 5+ save, and 10 wounds. But he's got a Massive Sensor, which is 4 attacks, 3 + 5, 5 brutal and shock. That is a nightmare of a weapon. Like an absolute nightmare of a weapon. Because hitting on 3s and 4 attacks, getting shock through where he just knocks off 2 of your dice as soon, like when he hits you, or 1 of your dice when he hits you, that's bananas. And you can only block him with crits. Lead the procession. Whenever this operative is in order and performs the charge, fallback, or reposition action during its activation, you can use this rule before it moves. If you do so, determine each other friendly Sanctifier that's benefited from a sermon. After it ends, each of those friendly Sanctifier operatives that end that action they can perform a free charge, fallback, or reposition action in the order of your choice. That is crazy. Everyone can just charge at the same time, but they must end the move in a location where they're still benefiting from the sermon. If this operative is incapacitated by this rule, or from the guard action, if you're playing close quarters, don't remove the kill zone until the rule's been resolved. So when this jerk charges, falls back, or repositions, everybody can come back with him, and just as long as they end within 6. You send a wave of dudes in, which is crazy. It doesn't make you get to fight, but it means if a bunch of like shooting units, like guys with like guns, like imagine the Tau, you just charge them with everybody, and now they can't shoot you and they have to fight you in melee, which is where you want to be anyway. And then we get Commanding Declamation. Whenever an enemy operative would perform an action during activation or counteraction, while visible to and within 6 of this operative, you can use this rule. If you do roll a d6, if the result's higher than the enemy operative's APL stat, it cannot perform that action during this activation or counteraction, and the AP on it isn't refunded. If it's a counteraction, that counteraction ends, and you can't use this rule again during the battle. So basically, one time you just be like, I use the word no. You just say no. The guy just stops. He pulls the Christopher Walken, where he's like, come over, and he's like, no, I don't want to. Why? Like, he just does that. And then Sanctifier Cherub. 2 APL, 7-inch move, because he flies, obviously. 5+ save and 5 wounds. He's like the Servo Skull or the cat from the boarding crew. He has a shock weapon, which is still funny. He's got 3 attacks on 5s, 1, 3. If he just gets a dice 3, he might live. And then Cherub, whenever determining its control, its operative APL is 1 lower. Whenever this operative has conceal order and is in cover, it cannot be selected as a valid target. And this operative cannot use any weapons that aren't on its data card or perform unique actions other than incentivize. And he flies. Incentivize is a support action. Select one other friendly Sanctifier operative, excluding the Confessor, the Death Cult Assassin, the Miraculous, and the Orator, and they get +1 APL. But you can't perform this action while it's within control range of an enemy operative. So he just cheers you on. He's going to be visible within 2, but he goes like, you're great, you're great, you're great. He just can't do it to like the really good fighters, unfortunately, because they have either lots of APL or their rules are too good. Like, if you gave the Sanctifier Confessor 3 APL and then let him have like everyone charges and I still get to fight, that'd be terrifying. The Conflagrator, this guy is your double flamethrower guy. He's more of a human stat line, right? So 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5+ save, 7 wounds. So he's like a guardsman stat line. He's got twin hand flamers. They can be focused or torrent. If they're a flamer, right? So 4 attacks, hit on 2s, 3 damage. If it's focused, it's range 6, saturate, torrent, and blaze. And if it's twin torrent, it's saturate, torrent, 0, twin torrent, which is it can select 2 targets and shoot them. He has the gunfighter rule, and blaze. And then gun butts are just like a 4 attack, 2, 3 damage, hit on 4s, like regular dude attack. Extra wound on the Death Cult Assassin, and boy, howdy is he fighty. 3 APL, move 6, 5 save. He's a trained assassin for 1 APL. Changes operative's order. This operative cannot perform this action while within control range of the enemy operative. So he can like stealth his way in and then change to engage and charge. He's got Bladed Stance. Whenever this operative is fighting or retaliating, you can resolve one of your successes before the normal order, but it must be used to block. So his he's got throwing knives, which is cool. So he can like sneak, do the silent shot, and then charge. Or he can fight, kill somebody, and then go back into hiding. But the throwing knives are 4 shots, 3+, 2-5, range 6 silent. And the ritual blades are 4 attacks, 2+, 4-6. No lethal or anything like that, but you could gain it from the prayers. And 4-6 is bananas. Ritual power swords is more like it. And then I think my favorite miniature in here, the missionary with the goggles is really cool too. But the Sanctifier Drill Abbot, it's Preacher Joseph for Inquisitor. This is a 25-year-old reference because most of you have probably never heard of this game. But it was I still have the 54mm miniature of this guy. 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5+ save, 7 wounds. His Great Hammer is 4 attacks, 4+, 4/4 brutal shock. So he hits almost as hard as the Confessor does. He's got the Scala Progenium Disciplinarian. Whenever this friendly Sanctifier operative within 6 of this operative activates, you can ignore any changes their stats from being injured, including the weapon stats. He's scarier than whatever's happening to that guy, which I think is hilarious. And then Null Skull. Whenever an enemy operative is within 6 of this operative, that enemy operative's APL stat cannot be added to. Remove all positive APL stats that it has. If an enemy operative that's more than 6 from this operative has a positive APL stat change and your opponent spends its final APL to move that operative within 6, this can cause your opponent to have more APL spent than its APL stat, and this is permitted in this situation. So he's just cool because he's scarier than everybody else. He's a real Friar Tuck. The Miraculist, this is your like maybe psychic dude. 2 APL, 6-inch move, 4+ save because it's psychic, obviously, or blessed. 7 wounds. Has a gun, Holy Light. It is 4 shots, 2+, 4/3, range 8, devastating 3. That's bananas. Limited 1, piercing 1, saturate blaze. Basically, like calls down the Light of the Emperor on you. And then Wreath and Fire, 4 attacks, 4+, 4/4, blast 1, limited 1, Wreath and Blaze. So all of these only happen a single time. And then finally, Burning Hands, 1 attack, 2+, 7/8 brutal, limited 1 Blaze. 7/8. Like, obviously, it's only a single attack, but like that just kills a regular human in 1 hit, and also blazes them, and it's also brutal. So if you charge with her, you can just do 7 damage to somebody on 2+, which I think is amazing. And then Wreathed, this opponent cannot perform the shoot action with this weapon while it's within control range of the enemy. Can while it's in control range of the enemy, so you can like explode basically. That's why it's blast 1 inch. And then, so if you can give her +1 APL, which I don't think you can from this skull. I think it specifically said you can't. Yeah, you can't. They made it so you can't charge in, Wreath, and then touch with the Burning Hands and just kill someone instantly. And then Miracle. The first time this operative would be incapacitated, it's not incapacitated, has 1 wound remaining, and can't be incapacitated for the remainder of that action. All remaining attack dice are given away, and then this operative can immediately perform a free dash or fallback action, even if it's performed that action before. She's a cool miniature. I just think she's got a cool, like, it reflects the fact that she's a weird Joan Arc-y sort of like miracle lady. I was going to make a miracle match, Max. I'm not a witch, I'm your wife. Sanctifier Missionary. Again, what a great miniature. 2 APL, 6-inch move, 5+ save, 8 wounds. Has Brazier of Holy Fire. One of the 2 of them will have it. And it is 4 attacks, 2+, 4/4, range 4 inches, saturate, torrent 1, blaze. And then you can have either a melta-gun, a flamer, a plasma gun. Then there's a melee Brazier of Holy Fire, which is 4 attacks, 4+, 4/4 blaze, shock, a chainsword, or a gun butt. And then it's got Holy Relic. It's always benefiting from a sermon if it has the Holy Relic. And then Spread the Word of the God Emperor. Whenever this operative is more than 6 inches from friendly operatives, its weapons have the Severe rule. So he's like your lone fighter that goes away from the Confessor and does his own thing. And he hits like a ton of bricks. And he's also like your longest range guns, right? Because he has a plasma gun potentially, which weirdly is like your longest range gun. And then the melee stats are off the charts too, right? With that Brazier. Dr. Chainsword with his Sanctifier Persecutor Eviscerator. Just regular human stats. Eviscerator is 4+, 5/6 brutal with 4 attacks. And then the Hand Flamer is like his offhand, which is built into the Chainsword. Merciless Castigation. The first time this operative performs the fight action during its activations, if neither it nor the enemy operative in that sequence is incapacitated, this operative can immediately perform a free fight action afterwards. But it can only fight against that enemy operative. This takes precedence over action restriction, so it just attacks you back. And then Fanatical Retribution. If he's incapacitated during the fight action, you can strike with one of your unresolved successes before it's removed from the kill zone. This guy, even if he dies, is just hyper dangerous because he's just swinging that sword. He's the baghead guy from Resident Evil 4. Swinging his chainsword. The Preacher, this is the guy you can have multiples of, always a hand flamer and chainsword. If he's next to an objective marker, he's benefiting from a sermon, which is nice. The Reliquant, he's basically a Preacher, but has a cult icon. And that is whenever determining control of a marker within 6 of this operative, its APL is 1 higher. And note this doesn't actually change its APL stat. And then Imperial Cult Devotion, once per turning point, when a ready friendly Sanctifier operative is incapacitated within 6, you can use this rule. If you do before the operative is removed from the kill zone, it can perform a free fight action. And you can change its order to do so, and that's incapacitated. So basically, you fight before you die if you're within 6 of this guy. Like I said, this is a very aggressive, and like that's how they make up for the Goremongers being such better fighters in there, which you'll see later. Is that they have tons of this like fight on death stuff, fight back stuff, between the Reliquant giving that to all the Preachers. And the Chainsword's no joke. Like this is a human with 4 or 5 damage attacks. And then finally your Salvationist, your other kind of psyker. Regular human stats, a soul stay of 3 attacks, 5 plus 2, 3 damage. But as a conversion field, whenever an operative more than 6 from this operative is shooting an operative within 6 of this operative, improve that operative save stat by 1 and worsen the piercing by 1. Now the piercing 1 would still be ignored. And then a Medikit, select a friendly Sanctifier within control range to get 2d3 wounds back. So this is your medic. But you can't do it well within control range of the enemy. So I love the Salvationist because it's just like your weird medic with a force field, I guess. But I don't know if it's actually medicing you or if it's like praying over you to make it happen. And then your token guides, we can talk about your faction equipment. So you get your Sanctification Orbs. Yeah, it's a Holy Hand Grenade. Once per turning point, 1 friendly Sanctifier, excluding these Cherub, Death Cult Assassin, and Miraculous, can perform the following action. Select a enemy operative within 6 of the operative. That operative and each other enemy operative within 1 inch must take a doused test. On a 3+, get a doused token. Whenever a friendly Sanctifier operative is shooting against an operative that has a doused token, with a weapon that has the Blaze special rule, you also have Seek, because obviously what this is doing is just covering you in gasoline. And then after a friendly Sanctifier operative uses a weapon that has the Blade weapon, and a doused token, remove that token. So even the Seek wasn't used. This operative cannot perform this action while within range of an enemy operative. You just cover them in gas and start humming, Ooga Chaka, Ooga Chaka. Because you're hooked on a feeling of lighting people on fire. Purity Seals. Once per turning point, when a friendly Sanctifier's operative is shooting or fighting, if you roll 2 or more fails, you can discard one of them and retain a normal success instead. I think that's similar to the Purity Seals in the Space Marines. And then Ecclesiarchy Text, in the Ready Suburban Strategy phase, roll 2d6. If the result is less than the remaining wounds in your friendly order, gain a CP. Otherwise, you don't. So 7 or less typically, if like a rando is the order, and then 10 or less if it's your boss. And then Imperial Cult Symbols. Once per turning point, when an operative is shooting a friendly Sanctifier operative that's benefiting from a sermon, when you collect your defense dice, you can use this rule. If you do, change one of the attacker's retained crit successes to a normal success. So you roll it over. And that's it. So that's our like Imperial weirdos. And God, I love this list. They're just humans doing their best to fight in melee and light absolutely everything on fire. I think this list is hilarious. They have a couple of like really good specialists. Like obviously the kind of like suicide charge or the persecutor is a big thing. The missionaries are just really good solo specialists. And look at how cool they are. Like just fantastic miniatures. I'll probably build these two so I can have the Holy Relic and the Brazier. And then I get the plasma gun for the long range weapon and the Space Marine killer with the melta gun. Obviously the Drill Abbot, the Death Cult Assassin are incredible. The Miraculous, I think, is the sleeper model where you're like, oh, she can't be that dangerous. And then she like eye lasers your soul out of your body. And everything else is just fun. The Confessor, it's like a ton of bricks. Like they're still just humans, but they're like way scarier up close humans than you would think they would be for what they are. And I think the order rule is handy and neat too. So I'm really excited about this one. All right, so that was part 2. We're to part 3. So click over to the next video if you want, and you can check out my review of the Goremongers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you for that next. And if you're not checking it out, till next time, I'm Ash. Up, we're getting.